Good afternoon. I'm Shresi Pal. I'm Associate Professor at BMS School of Architecture, Yelahanka, Bengaluru. We are a NAC accredited independent architectural college operating under the aegis of the prestigious BMS Educational Trust. Today's event is part of a series of research orientation seminars aimed to foster research culture amidst the architecture academic fraternity. These events are open to everyone, and we are glad to welcome all the participants who are attending today's webinar from various parts of India. Please continue to be a part of this series where we support each other in navigating the challenges of scientific research. I request our director, Dr. Shaila Bantanur, to welcome our distinguished guest speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, being a part of this wonderful design, this research dialogue series. In fact, just wanted to give you a brief about our objective of having this research dialogue series. The main intention is like, as you know, architecture is a very the research orient is not it requires a lot of focus. It is more of a professional oriented course. So we are all struggling how to promote the research. In terms of as a head of the institution, even as a faculty level, also we are all struggling how we can enrich ourselves in terms of the research. That was a main objective of having these kind of a research dialogue series, not only for our in-house faculties, but also we are keeping it open for almost all architecture schools, even anybody wanted to do the research, even from other discipline also. And I really thankful to Shreyasi, the way she is inviting the kind of a resource person for these kind of a research dialogue series, and everybody is enjoying. And couple of research, even the last time we have seen, and these are all even advanced research content. In terms of last time we had how AI can be used in research writing. That was really wonderful session, and people have even asked for to have it more in depth as a even as a workshop. And so it is not exactly we are focusing on how to do the research, because general methodology everybody knows about it, the kind of steps and all that. But what we wanted is like to know more in terms of the kind of research methods, the kind of tools which they can be used. Sometimes some tools are very important based on their research, and I guess there are very less platforms like this where they get these kind of a dialogue series, which is focused more on the methods of research. Sometimes we have seen one of the research dialogue series where the resource person expressed his entire research journey and kind of a quantitative analysis how they can do. So these are the challenges for any of the architectural faculty. So this time we tried our level best to have a multidisciplinary courses. And sir, you're the first one to, apart from the architecture background, we are calling even people from even economics background. We are even exploring a lot. Because when it comes to research, there are a lot of interdisciplinary departments, or interdisciplinary knowledge is important. So this we have even learned while doing the research. A lot of tools are required where it is we cannot say it is not in as a part of architecture and all that. So this is main objective, sir. With this background, I really welcome to our BMS School of Architecture virtually again, but I'll be very happy to host you here in person. Definitely, whenever you are around in Bangalore or nearby, please let us know so that you can see our beautiful campus and be a part of our school, sir. So thank you so much for being a part of it, sir, and a warm welcome to our school. And I'm sure participants will enjoy it, and we are really getting a good response from the participants. I think now they will join again because every research dialogue series we are getting more than 50 to 60 minimum. So I think the people will join, and once again, welcome to our school, sir. Thank you.
So, very quickly, let me introduce our guest speaker. We are thrilled to introduce Professor H.K. Dangi, Professor, Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi, as our speaker for the sixth event of our series. Professor Dangi holds a PhD from the Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi, with expertise on disaster supply chain management. He's a gold medalist in BTech and received an MBA in marketing, with numerous accolades, including the Maharana Mewar Foundation Award Professor Dangi has a rich academic background. His research interests cover business research, quantitative marketing, and disaster relief chain management. He has published extensively in international and national journals and is an active participant in conferences. He has conducted numerous workshops on research methodology and delivered lectures in various academic settings, thereby contributing to the nurturing of future scholars and researchers. We are honored to have him share his expertise on N VIVO for literature review, bibliometric analysis, and content analysis in today's webinar. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so very much, Shrestiji, and Director of the institution. At the outset, I congratulate this institution for starting this very unique initiative. Unique as in because these days the trend of the research dialogue is getting, what we call out of fashion, but then people are more into organizing events in the form of workshops and training. And I'm very happy that you still have a strong belief in discourse and deliberation on academic discussion. And that's really, really amazing. And what I could make it out from the background which has been given is seems to be very, very successful series or research dialogue series which is happening. So thank you so very much, and I congratulate your leadership and your institution, and in particular I also am thankful to our point of contact, Dr. Shreyasi ji, and whom I have been bothering that, okay, why don't you switch to this, that, and this slot and that slot. Thank you so very much for accommodating my request. And well, I fully agree with what Dr. Sheila ma'am said about the learning of the tool and motivating people to do a research, because it is the human mind which always relate with the tangible things, right? And research somehow is a lot of intangible things also, right? So it's research. The only tangible thing in the research is in the form of no report or a research paper or a document like this. But rest other process is a intangible part. Similarly, when it comes to the tools and technique, there are certain tools which are pretty much tangible, where the academicians intuitively get attracted towards using certain softwares and making use of them in their research journey. Well, I am of the view that it should be a combination, because only use of tool, though I earn my bread and butter from the training people on the tool, but I'm still of the view that it should be a combination of learning the tool as well as also learning the theory. So the tool which has been given to me and has been highlighted also, that N VIVO, or what we call QSR N VIVO, is something which I'm going to primarily talk about. And also the word which has been used is the bibliometric analysis. When I was talking to the coordinator, madam, I said, would it be really possible to cover these two tools in one go? She said, sir, our purpose is only to orient people on what is available. And she made a very interesting and very valid point that in any case, in 2 hours, nobody can make them expert, and doing project on a tool would be really difficult. So I fully endorse her view, and that's why we have deliberately not given you any data file, so that you don't get confused that, okay, how I am going to do it, and trying to match up my speed would not serve the purpose. And well, when the offer was given to me, I said, would it be online or offline? So when Dr. Sheila said, when you're around Bangalore, the first impression I had was it isn't going to be an offline. So even I am also looking forward, Bangalore being such a beautiful city, I'm also looking forward that whenever some workshop is being organized, I'll be more than happy to travel to Bangalore and making people learn while doing it. Having said that, I'm going to start now my discussion, and I think I have to be given the rights of sharing. Uh, Share, Simon, you have to give me right of sharing. Yeah, got it. So since the time is limited, the courtesy demand that I should actually ask each of you to be give your introduction, but then if I start doing this, then probably half of my time would be on this only, right? So I may be excused for that. So what we can do is, and I would also highly recommend that we should interact, and it should be two-way communication. It should not be simply one-way communication. If it has to be one way, then probably a YouTube video would have served the purpose. So my suggestion would be that no, ask as many questions as you can. I am the one who would have really appreciate it. But while asking the question, just introduce you. So that way you would introduce also, and then you would ask certain question also. So my plan is such that, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit theory about what is the bibliometric analysis is all about and why there is so much craze about bibliometric analysis these days in the academic literature. Then more importantly, I'll demonstrate on a software called WASP Viewer. I'll demonstrate it here only, then I'll share the screen. And the third and the most critical component from your point of view is I'll explain you how to write a paper using a WASP Viewer. And as Mem has already said, that in the architecture discipline, there is a tendency that it is more of an practice-oriented discipline rather than a theory-oriented. But I certainly believe that theory and practice get no go together, and knowledge dissemination can only happen when knowledge creation takes place. So I strongly believe that we all have a potential, and by end of this particular session, all our colleagues or our friends in this particular workshop or this talk would be motivated enough to take up a paper on bibliometric, and which is pretty much doable, let me assure you, right? So I'm sharing my screen now. Is my screen visible, ma'am? Is my screen
Yes,
visible?
yes, we can see so.
Yeah. So I'm cutting down the general perspective where I generally start from what is research and why research is important and all those things. I'm cutting down and I'm straight away coming to the topic which has been given to me, respecting the time which has been given to me. The term bibliometric has derived from two words, biblio and metric. Biblio means any published document and metric means measurement. So when you are measuring any published document, that is termed as bibliometric analysis, or also termed as science of science, or also known as, some people say it is nothing but an application of quantitative techniques on bibliographic data. Now you must be wondering, what is a bibliographic data? When you publish an article, there are a lot of information about that article is being presented or being indexed in that particular journal, like what is the title of that paper is a bibliographic data, who is the author of this paper, what is the volume number of that journal, which page number to which page number it has been published, what is the DOI, right? What are the keywords, what is the abstract? These all are the information which are being provided when you are writing a paper, and most of the journal asks you to categorically give this information. Those information is termed as bibliographic information, and when you quantitatively analyze those bibliographic data, then it becomes a bibliometric analysis. There are three terms which are being used extensively these days. I'm not getting into much detail of this because this would be beyond the scope of discussion, but it is also important to understand that how bibliometric analysis is different from another two terms termed as meta-analysis and as systematic literature review. When it comes to bibliometric analysis is generally being carried out when you have a large number of publication in that particular domain. For example, if you are uh, uh, doing some research and let's say computer aided design, or you say you are doing a computer aided manufacturing or computer, or you want to do a research on any vertical of architecture, and you want to see whether no whether or greenhouse. So let's say there is a concept of greenhouse and or sustainable housing. So I want to understand that who all has published in this particular domain, what theory has been used in greenhousing, who are the leading author in this domain, which journal are the topmost journal when it comes to the greenhousing publication, and then I want to understand where are the research gaps where I can publish. So if I want to understand all this, right, by measuring whatever is available in the literature or available in the no databases, then it is termed as bibliometric analysis. So when the number of publication is large, now what do I mean by large? Let's say if the number of publications are multiple of hundreds, like 200, 300, 400, something of that sort, then the bibliometric is the right tool to know, or right technique to be applied. On the contrary, but in bibliometric, you don't engage with the contents of the research paper which are being there. You are primarily interested in the what we call as a uh, no databases which would help you in fetching this information. So that is bibliometric analysis. The another term which is being used is there a lot is the meta-analysis. Meta-analysis is essentially if other researchers have done a quantitative assessment of certain thing. For example, if you want to understand the beam strength and somebody has used a particular material X and they have computed the strength of that material. Now, let's say there are such 100 researches has been carried out in measuring the strength of the material. And now you want to conduct a research wherein already published result you making use for your own research work. Then what you are doing is a meta-analysis. So meta-analysis is primarily quantitative. Systematic literature review is primarily qualitative. In systematic literature review, what you do is you look at a particular domain, you look at particular method, you look at the particular theory, and based on those theory, method, and domain, you write a detailed review by acquiring, arranging, and assembling the data from the past researches. Then that is a systematic literature review. So those of you who are interested in knowing much detail about these three terms, you can refer to this research work carried out by Dhontu and others, that they have published a paper in Journal of Business Research where they have differentiated these three terms: bibliometric analysis, meta-analysis, and SLR. So quick recap: SLR is to be done when the number of data set is small. For example, if it is a multiple of tens, 20, 30, 40, 50 research paper are there in particular domain. If the research publications are large, if it is a multiple of hundreds, then bibliometric is the right choice. Large or small, but it has to be adequate, then the meta-analysis is appropriate. SLR is primarily qualitative. Meta-analysis has to be quantitative. Bibliometric is a combination of quantitative and qualitative. So it all depends whether you want to engage with the content of the researches which have been carried out, SLR. If you want to look at the superficial understanding of what has been carried out, then it is termed as bibliometric. So in bibliometric context, I will be using certain terms which will be termed as research constituent. They are like authors, countries, institutions, topics, journals, keyword of a particular article would be termed as a research constituent. Now, when it comes to bibliometric analysis, I would be primarily applying these two techniques or these two tools. One is the performance analysis, another is science mapping. Performance analysis is of a research constituent. For example, if you want to compute the performance of me as a researcher, let's say Hemendra Dangi is a researcher and you want to do a bibliometric analysis on this. Now, what would happen is you won't be measuring my productivity through total publication in my 20 years career, how much publication I have done, So that would be my total publication. So what is, let's say I've published 100 paper and this is my career is, let's say 20 years. Then the per year I have published 4 paper. So that is my productivity. But sometimes we said the productivity is important, but it is also important to understand the influence of a person. So influence of person could be, for example, I have written one paper, but nobody has no referred that paper or cited that paper other than me. Then my influence is low, right? My productivity could be high. I might publish a 20 paper in a year, but nobody has referred to my paper. Then that means my influence is low. So in order to measure the influence, we have something called total citation. So which paper has been cited, how many times is termed as total citation. And a combination of productivity and influence is being considered as an H index. So you must have come across that, no, in certain interviews or certain research setup, you are being asked, what is your H index? What is your institution's H index? So when the NAC visit happens or any accreditation visit happens, that they ask, what is the H index of your institution? So what they are measuring by H index is, for example, I have published 10 paper and my first paper has been cited 10 times. My second paper has cited 3 times, let's say 8 times. Third paper has cited, let's say 7 times. And fourth paper has been cited 4 times. So if the number of publication becomes and the number of citation same, then we call it is an H index. So H index measures both productivity and your influence. On the other hand, if you are drawing a relationship between the various research constituent, then it is a science mapping. For example, Hemendra Dangi has collaborated with whom? So that is your what we call citation analysis or co-authorship analysis, or which particular word has been used with what word keyword. That is a co-occurrence of the keywords, or which which reference has been cited for with what. Then it is a bibliographic coupling of the your references. So therefore, the nutshell, if you are drawing a relationship between two variables, then it is termed as bibliographic coupling. Now, any doubts so far? Do we have any doubt? Any question, any doubt we have? Otherwise, I would start using the demonstration part. And let me, before we go to the demonstration part, let me first explain you the application of bibliometric analysis. So you must be wondering that where it would be used. It has got a enormous application. For example, recently we in Delhi University, where I am working, we celebrated 100 years. We call centenary year. So we celebrated 100 years. So what I did was, I, along with my team of researchers, we conducted 100 years of bibliometric analysis of Delhi University. So what we did in 100 years, how Delhi University has published, what is the discipline where Delhi University has published, how our H index has moved, how which keywords which published prominently, what are our weak area where we could not publish. So we did all this using a database called Scopus and Web of Science. So it could be for an institution, it could be for a person also. So if you can do a bibliometric analysis of Einstein, right? What has been his major contribution? Which paper of Einstein has been cited most, right? Who has been his co-author? What word he has used frequently? So it could be done for an individual also. It could be done for an institution. It could be done for a general also. It can be done for your BMSSA also. That okay, you could do a bibliometric analysis of BMSSA, right? Or it could be done for a public research publication of a particular university. It could be done for a particular keyword also. So it has got a various application. More importantly, if you would follow my discussion carefully, even after this particular discussion, you would be in a position to write a research paper just by reviewing the literature. How? Let me explain you. So as I said, I'll be using a tool called VosView. The actual pronunciation is VosViewer, but because it's a Netherlands software, I mean the Netherlands professors have developed it. And in the Netherlands, obviously the V is being no F is being pronounced as V, so it's like Volkswagen. So similarly, this software is actually a Fosware, but then it since it starts with V, that's why I have to generally use the term Fosware. The correct pronunciation is Fosware. So I'm showing this software to you. I'm demonstrating it. So what happens in a bibliometric analysis is uh, also, yeah. Is my screen visible, Shreyasi?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So this is a canvas of this particular software, which is freely available. You can easily download it from the, you just need to write in the Google download Vosphere software, and you would be navigated to a link, and then you will be easily able to download it. So that's not a problem. So getting this software would not be a challenge. Now this is the canvas of the software. There are three icons: file, item, and analysis. So, and there create, open. Obviously, once I'll open a file or create a file, then the option of saving and sharing would also be activated. If you want to understand about this particular software, you can download that manual also. So I go to create, and then the software is asking me, I want to create map based on my network data, or I want to create a map based on my bibliographic data, or based on a text data. Since I don't have a name map right away, so I'll be using a bibliographic data. I want to create a map based on a bibliographic data. So I select the second one, create a map based on a bibliographic data. Is my speed okay, ma'am, Dr. Shreyasi?
Sir, we can see, sir. No problem. It's
Okay,
readable.
okay. Then I go to next. Then the software asks me from where you would like me to read the data. So I said, okay, I got a subscription of Scopus and Web of Science. So I would like to read data from a bibliographic data file. I'll explain how to fetch the data also. And then I say next. Then it asks what is the source of your database? I would say mine is a Scopus. So I go to Scopus. And then I would retrieve the data file from Scopus file, and then let's say scopus.csv, and then I say okay. Now the software is going to read this Scopus file, which I have downloaded from the Scopus website or the database which we have prescribed. So before we go further, let me give you an idea, because my experience as an instructor is most of the time people do not have an idea how to download or data, fetch the data, right? So I would devote 5-10 minutes on explaining the data also, that what data looks like. And I would be requiring your input also, because it has been so far one way. So I'm going to eGeneral database. It's a Delhi University database. So I'm going to eGeneral database of Delhi University, right? And then I go to this resource Scopus or Web of Science. If your if your discipline publication is more in Web of Science, you can publish in Web of Science. That's not a problem. So I sign in. Hope your AI is not intelligent enough to capture my password, right? And then I sign in. All right. Now I would expect you to give me any keyword which is relevant to you. Any participant I would request. Otherwise, I would have a cold call, right? That I would ask randomly any participant, anybody who would volunteer to give any research area. Sustainable practices, very nice, Mohammad Imran ji. So sustainable practices. So I write sustainable practices. Is that okay, Imranji? Sustainable practices. And then I search. And as expected, the result is unexpected in the sense that 1,17,000. But why 1,17,000? Because there is something wrong with my search. Why there is something wrong with the search? Because when I searched it, I should have put sustainable practices in inverted comma. Can anybody differentiate what is the difference between when you write in sustainable practices like this and when you put it into inverted comma? It's a general question, nothing to do with the bibliometric. Anybody?
Sir, I think it will take it as only one keyword, like as a one word. Otherwise, it will take sustainable and practices, so you will get more number of.
Very nice. So your director is leading by example and leading from front. Thank you so very much. And
No, I'm enjoying your session,
very,
sir. That's the reason.
yeah, Jasmine has also said the same thing exactly. So when you put anything in the inverted comma in the search string, then this is being termed as sustainable practices. So anywhere where the term sustainable has come and anywhere the practices have come and anywhere these two have come as being shown, which is irrelevant for us, isn't it? I want sustainable practices should come together. So and obviously it is being expected when I am searching with the sustainable practices, the result get reduced to 7,517 words, which is still very high. Let me tell you, from a no bibliometric point of view. So I'll explain you how to exclude it. But let's also give you a very interesting feature of Scopus, which gives you a preliminary result. For example, if I have to analyze the result, the Scopus gives a very interesting insight about the data. It says, okay, if I look at the documents by year, so the researches in the sustainable practices started not very late. It started only 1986, and then it picked up, right? And incidentally, the highest publication has come in year 2023. That's very interesting trend. So whosoever is doing this research must be very happy that this is something which is very in thing these days, and as good as 1574 document has been published in the Scopus in the 2023 only, right? So that is something which is a trending topic. So that is something which is a contemporary topic. So that is the one instance. You should not be worried that why the publication is going down, because it is going down because 2023, 24, we have only no cost 4 months, and 4 months 924 publication has come. That's really remarkable. So this is something where a lot of publication is happening.
Sir,
And
I have.
especially,
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. Just curious to know what must be the reason. What must be the reason for it? Is it because of the COVID time, like where the people have published a lot?
yes, very true, ma'am. It could be because of the COVID, but then the COVID's publication should have come in 2021, right? The
No, the
second could
thing.
be
Okay.
because sustainable word is these days is otherwise also very important. There has been a lot of focus by the government. One of the SDG also is on the sustainable development, and in the G20 summit also there was a focus on the sustainability. Researchers also all across the discipline also no suggesting for the sustainable practices. That is why the term sustainable practices has got a lot of traction. So I am not surprised, because this is otherwise also I could see that okay, a lot of people are doing researches on the sustainable practices. What I would be interested in is I would like to understand that who is the leading author in this particular domain. So when let's say if you are somebody is doing a PhD or somebody is doing a research, sometimes we ask them, okay, who is the authority in your domain? So you should, without reading the content, you can make it out, okay, uh, Sora Gill is the one who is the leading author in this. Devrajan Y is also leading author in this. A. Kumar is also working in the sustainable practices. So if you are working in this domain, you should have some reading of these author who are publishing dominantly. But what is interested, I am interested in, I would like to put a filter on this is, I would also like to understand which discipline it got published more. So look at this. So majority of the publication in this coming domain is coming from the environmental sciences. It is coming in the social sciences. It is coming in the engineering. It is coming in the business management. It is coming in the energy. It is coming in the agriculture, computer science, earth sciences, and so on and so forth. Sorry to say, but as such, your discipline does not figure no exclusively.
Yeah.
Reason could be no that people are not publishing much in the scopus probably, but then also it is a no matter of concern because rest other discipline, for example, energy and engineering and all other discipline has published. And if the architectures are not publishing in Scopus, then also it is not, I mean, my outside view is that you cannot do away with the fact that, okay, we are not publishing in Scopus. That's not can be argument because in any case, all leading ranking agencies, they would be no, getting your profile, your institution profile or your profile through Scopus only. That's sad reality, right? So, ma'am, you have raised the
Yes,
hand?
sir. Sir,
Yeah.
yes, you said architecture, like, faculties are not, publishing in Scopus. There is a challenge here, sir. Most of the stream, when we want to, submit our paper, you don't get architecture as a program, in the download. Still, we are struggling for our that identity. But many times we have to choose the program as an engineering or sometimes under the humanities. So that's why you don't find architecture as a separate domain, but I think there will be a publication. But again, the program you don't find it, sir. I think this is a challenge which we are
I
also
appreciate,
facing.
and though our discussion is deviating a little bit, but then let me also tell you, as a head of the institution, for example, if I am, because don't forget that the third party is doing through Scopus only. So when it comes to the QS ranking, or when it comes to the NIRF ranking, or when it comes to the no any other ranking or QS rank times ranking or any ranking, they are capturing your data through Scopus. So probably it is a high time that you should write it to the Scopus saying that there should be a separate category in the Scopus as an architecture. Why it should be clubbed with the no engineering or humanity? And believe me, they will do it. For example, why I'm saying, because I'm the ranking team of the university, and what happens in the Scopus sometime publication, sometimes people write University of Delhi, sometimes Delhi University, sometimes they're a combination of this, or sometimes they write only colleges. So we wrote to the Scopus and they resolved it. So you can always write it to the, as an academic fraternity, you can write it to the Scopus saying that, okay, our publication should reflect with the terminology of architecture. So they would do it. But anyway, we are deviating from what we are discussing. Yes. So what I'm saying is, no, now the very interesting input ma'am has given to me is, so she said probably humanities or the social sciences is the one area where they would be interested, right? So probably what I'll do is, and obviously, I can also look at which country has published most in the sustainable development or sustainable practices, United States and India. That's very interesting. India is also publishing a large amount of publication in the no Scopus as far as the sustainable practices is concerned. That's a very positive and interesting trend. And at least ahead of the China, that's really surprising. But yes, so that's the one thing. So coming back to no, what I was saying was the search part, right? What I'll do is I'll put a filter now. How I would put a filter? So as ma'am has said that I am already interested in the social sciences, or let's say engineering, right? Let's say we are interested in the sustainable practices in the engineering discipline. Then I am already interested in the articles. I don't want a conference paper, book chapter and review. I can afford to do that because I have a large number of publication. I want only final documents. I don't want article in press. I want, I can also select certain keywords, right? So for example, I am interested only in the sustainable practices. I don't want any other related word. I want only sustainable practices. And why I'm doing this? Because I have a large number of publication. So I'm not worried about other things, right? So I'm removing all the keywords. I am restricting to only sustainable practices word, right? And then I'm interested only in the publication in the journals. And at the same time, I want only publication in the English. So these are the filter which I'm using, and I say limit to. The moment I limit it to this, the publication has been reduced to 266, which is good enough for going for a bibliometric analysis. Is that okay? Any question on this so far?
Uh, Sir, in the chat box, it's asked, I think they missed the step where the analysis figures how you came up with the graphs. So I think there's an analyze
Okay.
button
Yeah,
which they
I got it.
missed.
Yeah, so this is analyze result. Okay. But obviously this is after putting my restriction. Okay. So I have put all this. I have put sustainable practices. I have limited to the further sustainable practices. Subject area is English only language. And these are the publication stage final. So these are the some of the filter which I have put in. Is that clear now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when we have this 266 document, I can always download in the form of a CSV file. So I go to all download. Then I said download export and in the form of a CSV. And then I can check all this. I want citation information. I want bibliographic information. I want obviously abstract and keyword. I want funding detail. I want other information also. And I say export. So CSV would be downloaded here. Right? So on my local machine, a CSV file would be downloaded, right? So I go to Scopus now. Are we okay? Are we able to follow? Any question in the chat box so far?
Yeah, I think not everyone has access to Scopus, so they're asking if something can be done in Google Scholar. So because these are you
That's very
require a
possible.
Scopus thing for this.
Yeah, either Scopus or Web of Science or PubMed, or there is site called Publish or Perish, right? From there, there is something called Dimension. Dimension is freely available. It has a databases of both Scopus and Web of Science, so you can get data from there also. Another thing that what you can do is you download your papers from various website, arrange them in a Mendeley, and get an RIS format file, and then you can do it. Right? So there are multiple ways. So you can download your papers in Mendeley, and the Mendeley would allow you to download in your RIS format file, and what should be the H index for doing all this analysis? whose H index, yours or for that particular publication? Yes, so there is no requirement of H index, right? H index would be, it is something different. It is for a research constituent, not for bibliometric analysis. Either I didn't get the question proper. Okay. So there are ways. One, you can do it through PubMed, which is free. A, B, but that is all obviously that is only for medical science. For discipline, you can go to a dimensions database, which is again free, and it has both no Scopus and Web of Science. Third, you can go to, as I said, you arrange your entire PDFs and all document in Mendeley or in Jotero and download as a file of RIS format, and then it is an no compatible. And lastly, see, there are n number of ways of not doing anything, and there are n+1 ways of doing it. So if you are really motivated and interested, you would find out a way, right? It's all about networking. So you can always request somebody who has an access to Scopus if you are genuinely concerned, right? So Shanuji has asked about SLR. I'll come to SLR later on because otherwise we'll miss out the things. So let me first complete the bibliometric. But yes, since it was a very important question from where to get Scopus, so I address that query first. I'll talk about SLR later. So I go to create a map based on the bibliographic data. Then I go to next. Then next. Then let me find out. Let's say I have to get the data. So let me get the same data which we have downloaded now so that you would be able to relate, right? Scopus 13, I suppose. Then I said, okay. Then I go to next. Then I go to next. Then next. Let me explain what I've done. It is asking that what analysis you want to do. I said I want to do a co-occurrence of author's keyword. That which word has occurred how many times. I want to do that. Then I go to next. Then the software is asking me that there are 846 keywords and 25 meets the threshold. So I said next. Then I next. Maybe I picked up a wrong file. Let me check which file we have done. Since we have downloaded the recent file. So let me work on the same file on which we have worked now. So, okay, Scopus 7 is the something which we have downloaded, right? So create, next, next. Then let me go to the Scopus 7. This is the file which we have downloaded. I say, okay. Then next. So now we are capturing the data which we have downloaded from the Scopus. And I want to do a co-occurrence of the author's keyword. Then next, there are 942 words. And if you want, okay, minimum it should have come 5 times. Then the 14 words meet the threshold. I said, okay. Then next, then next. So these are the keyword which has come out. So sustainable practices, sustainability, construction industry, circular economy, energy efficiency. These are the paper. These are the word which is published in this journal. And there is a sustainable practices which has occurred 53 times. Sustainability word has occurred 60 number of times. And 9 paper has been written in the construction industry. 7 people have talked about energy efficiency in addition to sustainable practices. And then I say finish. The moment I finish it, then I got a a beautiful diagram like this, wherein you got a no, you want to make a changes, you can make changes to the diagram by increasing the visualization by like this, right? You can increase the size of the label like this, right? So here you got that there is a sustainability word has co-occurred with the term circular economy, construction industry, life cycle assessment, sustainable practices have been used with the environmental sustainability, energy efficiency, right? So you have clubbed all those words into certain cluster, and your software has generated a map where these words have been presented. Now let's say if you want to increase the size of the diagram, you can zoom in, zoom out, right? Like this. That can be done. For example, you want to present in the form of frames, you can do that. You can present in the form of circle. If you want a curved line, then you can use like this. You want a colored line. If you want to use a black background, you can use like this. So this diagram you can generate in this particular software by an interesting part is without reading, though it is not a very good practice, but without reading what is the content you have published, you have been able to generate a document like this. So that is the your co-occurrence of the keyword. Now let's say, and you must be wondering that how I do save this. So you can save this as a JPG file, or you can take also as a screenshot. So you can take a screenshot and you can save as a JPG file. So you can save this with the let's say co-occurrence or of keywords or something like that, right? And then you can save it, and that would be saved as a JPG file, right? So that you can easily do it. Now let's say if you want to change the the number of cluster which are there. For example, in this particular analysis, this 14 word has been grouped into 4 cluster. That's very interesting and impressive part of this software, that words have been grouped into various clusters. So the first cluster comprises of 5 items. It talks about energy consumption, it talks about energy efficiency, it talks about environmental impact, it talks about environmental sustainability, sustainable practices. The second is talk about circular economy. So the software has divided this 14 item into 4 cluster. Now let's say if you want to reduce it to 3 cluster. So what you can do is you go to analysis and then you say, I want a minimum cluster size of 3, right? Because the last cluster is only 1 item. To me, it is a sensible because case study is something which is unrelated. So that's why it has been created one separate cluster. But let's say if you want to club it with something, then you simply need to do update clustering. And when you go to the items now, you go to 3 clusters only, right? So that much that can also be done as far as the bibliometric analysis is concerned. Similarly, you can do other analysis also. Let me quickly tell you what other analysis you can do. You go to next, you go to next, and then you can perform a citation analysis of authors, which author is being cited most, and then you simply say finish, and then you say yes. So these are the 4 leading authors as far as the no this particular bibliometric analysis is concerned. So that you can do. You want to create a map of the country. So that also can be done by bibliographic coupling of the countries. So I go to bibliographic coupling of the country, then you say finish, right? So that countries graph has been created. So those which are of the same color are similar in terms of their the nature of work which has been done. So United States, Germany, Australia, Japan. So there is a common affiliation. United Kingdom, Italy, Canada, their common affiliation. China, India, Hong Kong has a common affiliation. Now you want to understand which country has been from where the maximum publication has come. So let's say the maximum, you look at this thing. So when I click a particular icon, when I say United States, it belongs to cluster 2. Just here, look at here, just above my type here for search. So United States belongs to cluster 2, has got a link of 20 and link strength of 227 1. Now, what is the difference between link of and link strength? For example, I am an author and I published with 4 different authors. Then my link strength would be 4. Sorry, link would be 4. But let's say for the first author, Hemendra Dangi is published with author X as 10 times. And similarly, if I count all this, and then if I come arrive at a numerical number, that becomes my link strength. So America or United States has got a link strength of 2,271 with a document. In the 46 document, they have been cited or they have been presented and with a link strength of 2,271. Now, from your point of view, after doing all this, you must be interested, sir, how do we publish? Right? That is most important. So in order to just give the confidence, let me also share you one of my paper where I've used the bibliometric analysis and it got published in the InterScience Journal. So what I'm trying to give you confidence, it is pretty much doable. So this is a 17 years of this research which we do. No, one of my scholar is doing as a customer engagement. So we did a customer engagement research, and after writing this introduction and LR, obviously this would depend on your discipline. But what is important is this part. You have to be very careful in writing this research methodology. That what word you have searched, for example, what filter you have used, what was your inclusion and exclusion criteria, how did you arrive at that decision of inclusion and exclusion. Then these are the insight which we have generated from the Scopus website only. And then we have published and we have know what we call and this flow diagram which we used is to give our search. That's very important. All journal would ask for this flow diagram. What was your database? What was your keyword? What was the tenure? What was inclusion, exclusion? How many data points were being taken? What are the major information extracted? What software has been used, right? And what analysis has been used. And then we did all this thing using this was like the way I'm doing it. So we identified certain themes, we identified bibliographic coupling and all those things we have included in this. So this is something which is pretty much doable. So if you are interested, I can share this paper to you also. So I just to understand the format of this paper, that how it is to be done. So this is something which I want you to understand first. And in case if you have any query, please let me know. If you want me to show what is how the Scopus file look like, let me also share with you the Scopus file. Right. So when I downloaded this file, so these are the author's name, this is author's full name, author's ID, what is the title of the paper, which year it got published, what is the general title, and all this information has been captured. So that way, Scopus, that is very powerful tool as far as no database is concerned. It's very respected and very powerful as far as the this particular analysis is concerned. In case if we have any query, I'm ready to take that query. Otherwise, I'll move to the next part of our presentation, which is how we use N VIVO, right? So any question we have, I'll share this file. I've already demonstrated how do we do it. There are on n number of videos which are available on the internet or YouTube. How do we do a bibliometric analysis, right? There are n number of paper which are being written using bibliometric analysis. I generally tell my student, all my scholar, that no, that you cannot do it because WhatSphere do not allow you to edit the image, because then it is as good as tempering. What you can do is before that image is being generated, you can uncheck certain word in case if you don't want it. But once the image is being generated, it is neither allowed nor ethical to edit the image which has been generated by a software, right? So what I was saying was source is, for example, for this image, it is being generated by the author, right? So it is the author's work, right? Or the source of the data is Scopus, depending upon what is the requirement of the journal. Generally, we say it is a author's contribution or author's no output, because that would come as a logo with the verse viewer. So that has to be supplied. So there's n number of videos which are available. How to write a no paper using a bibliometric analysis. Well, as far as the bibliometric as a technique is concerned, there is a divide in terms of there are people who consider that this is a very powerful tool and it should be used, right, in all researches. And there are people who say that bibliometric per se is not a research, right? You are simply presenting what all is there. So therefore, a lot of journal do not accept the publication using a bibliometric analysis. So there is a debate which is there, but we should not get into the debate. We should be happy that, okay, when you get motivated and published based on the bibliometric analysis, and it's pretty much doable and pretty much acceptable also. A lot of journals are no accepting the paper. So what I was telling was, when I supervise any student, I tell them to do the work in 3 stages. One, the first stage is they have to necessarily do a SLR or a bibliometric or a meta-analysis or a detailed literature review. Somebody asked about systematic literature review. In systematic literature review, what happens is you download certain research paper, then you summarize in the form of an Excel sheet, and then you create your own Excel sheet with a certain field like what are the keywords, what are the insight, what theory they have used, and then you generate your own content by reading those papers and then doing a systematic literature review. That is more of a qualitative in nature. So when I will be demonstrating N VIVO, I'll explain how SLR can be done using N VIVO. So what I was saying is, I generally ask my student to necessarily do a bibliometric or an SLR or a meta. Number two, they should do a qualitative, right? You can always take an excuse that in our domain, we are hardcore architecture side. There is no qualitative research. That is again a myth. That's not a reality. In all discipline, qualitative can be happen. And I myself come from engineering background, so I know it very well that that how qualitative researches can be done in engineering discipline also, right? So, and then the last part is the quantitative part. In case if there is no question, I think we should move to the N VIVO then. Is there any question? In between, there were certain messages, but I could not see. Is there any message which is to be addressed? Can we able to edit? No, yes, sir. Scopus 7, yes. Oh, somebody pointed out also Scopus 7, good. SLR, what should be the approach if I, after putting the keyword, I got 30 paper? Go for SLR. Shanuji, go for SLR. If there is only 30 paper, though it's very low, because acceptance would be low. The H index for doing all this analysis, this question was not clear. Okay, so I think most of the, let me share my some of the viewpoint on bibliometric. Please share any one of your SLR paper. Yeah, that I'll do, Shanu, not at all. Let me tell you, when I was doing this bibliometric analysis for Delhi University, because it was a very prestigious assignment for that, because Prime Minister was to visit the university and we were to demonstrate it, right, the Delhi University. So the authorities asked that you are doing a separate analysis for Scopus, you are doing a separate analysis for Web of Science. Though you've not asked this question, but I'm asking you, can we do it? Because that has not occurred to your mind, but probably that's a very important question which we should come to your mind. One, there is no provision of clubbing these two data, right? You cannot simply say, okay, let me have an Scopus file and let me put also Web of Science file and copy paste and then I do on a combine. Answer is no, unfortunately no. So what we try to do is we try to add these two files using R. R is a programming software. I'm sure all of you must be aware, right? But even then, it was not successful attempt. So what we did was, so I'm telling these all practical experiences. These are not there in any YouTube video, right? These I'm telling the practical challenges which we faced while we were doing a bibliometric analysis. And the another challenge before I address this particular challenge, another challenge which we faced were at that point of time, there were close to 40,000 publication of the Delhi University, right? So how do you download? Because Scopus only allows 2,000 publication to be downloaded at a time. So somebody suggested, because the university librarian was also part of the study, so he suggested we can have a 20 IDs and we can do it. I said, sir, even then it would not serve our purpose, because those 20 files which we would generate, again, that has to be edited, right? So then we have to write it to Scopus, and we got something called APIs, right? So APIs help you in scraping the data at one go. So we took a help of Scopus and no in downloading all those files at 40,000 database. Now, the second challenge which we got is our authorities asked, I don't want a separate analysis on Scopus and Web of Science. There could be duplication. There could be certain paper which are there in Scopus. There are certain paper which is not there in the Web of Science. So I want a combined of this. So that is again a challenge. So what we did was we downloaded the file from Scopus in the form of Web of Science, .csv. We downloaded a file of text file from the Web of Science, and then we edited these two files and put together in a Excel. And believe me, in Microsoft Excel also, then you can do a lot of wonders. To me, the most impressive tool to till date is the Microsoft Excel. Whatever Microsoft Excel can do, none other no tool can do. That's what my firm belief is. Though I do use extensive tool, very soft, specialized tool, but I'm a big fan of Excel. So what we did was we put everything in the Excel and then we analyzed the data. So that's how we did. Then the another challenge which came was, let's say they have multiple files of Scopus which you want to analyze. If it is more than 2000 and multiple files, can you simply cut paste? Answer is no. So what you can do is when you run a bibliometric analysis in VOSViewer, then you simply select the folder and select all file and then run the analysis. You'll be able to generate the output. These challenges, when you would face, you will get to know this answer for this. But if your data is small, then probably this kind of challenge. There is another tool which is very handy, very useful, is, and if you are comfortable, you can use a tool called or app called Biblioshiny. I'm just writing in the chat. Biblioshiny in the R, right? In R Studio, R is a programming language, I'm sure you're aware of. And R Studio is an IDV. It is a interactive data interface. So in the R Studio, you simply write Biblioshiny. I mean, obviously a command is to be written. There is a package called Bibliometrics. So in the Bibliometric package, call for a library called Biblioshiny. And when you install Biblioshiny, R does also do a great job. So probably whenever we would have a dedicated workshop on bibliometric, I'll demonstrate on Biblioshiny as well. But today, in the interest of the time, I'm not showing you Biblioshiny. So this is something which I wanted to highlight for bibliometric analysis. And I think we have given a decent time on the bibliometric because already it's been 1 hour. So I think it's a high time we should move to the N VIVO. And Madam Coordinator has said that if you would not show N VIVO, we would not present a vote of thanks. So I have to go to N VIVO. So I am going to a software called N VIVO. And according to me, which is again a very, very powerful tool. And before the query comes that how do we download and how do we get it? Believe me, there is no other option. You at the most you can do download a trial version. There is no free software which is available in the form of your qualitative, but I'm just listing other software. One is N VIVO. I'm just writing in software's name. N VIVO is the one which I'm using. There is another software called MaxQDA. There is another software called Atlas Pi, Atlas.t, Atlas.t. You can do it in R. If you are comfortable in R, you can do all this thing in the R. That's not a problem, right? But if you are not comfortable, then you have to have subscription of these three, which is N VIVO or MaxQDA or Atlas T, right? My suggestion to you is, in case if you get motivated and you realize that for my type of for the data type of research which I'm doing, uh, N VIVO is going to be very useful. So my suggestion to you is, do two things first before downloading the software. A, you should thoroughly be comfortable in no the technique. There is no point of downloading software and learning the technique. So you should learn the technique beforehand. So learn it in N VIVO, how to use N VIVO on YouTube or attending workshop like this. Then do this, then collect data, and then download the software. Because what happens is, people get excited, get motivated, download the software after the workshop, and then they waste 3, 4, 5 days in no in the collecting data and no learning the technique, and then suddenly they realize that it is about to expire. So you have got 14 days. 14 days is not a small period, let me tell you, right? And you have all the ways, no? जैसे जनरली क्या करते हैं, एक बार अपने सॉफ्टवेयर लैपटॉप पे कर लिया, एक बार डेस्कटॉप पे कर दिया, एक बार फ्रेंड के उस पे कर दिया. So we Indians are smart at doing this. So that can be done. But as such, I have not seen any crack version of the N VIVO. Most of the software has a crack version, but I'm yet to see a crack version. All right. So, but it is a very powerful and very user-friendly software. So let me share you. So I'm sharing my screen. Though I'm being told that no majority of the participant would be comfortable in English only, but that's why I have skipped all my video files, which I'm very fond of showing. But I thought because A, time is less, and B, language is a barrier, and because I don't have a subtitle, so I have not shown it. But I have to show one, and you have to cooperate me, because that would actually help me in explaining the project in which it has been shown. And these all files are actually your what we call uh, let me show you a video file. That is the background. That's why I'm showing you. And it is not, no title is, subtitle is there, but I'm sure you guys would pick it up. So we go. So let me close the Scopus. All Scopus has been closed. Drive. Content. Okay, let me show it one by one. I had a one merged file, but I have problem. So without wasting the time, let me show one by one. Okay. Yes, don't worry about the PPT. Mohammad Imran, don't worry. I'll give you the PPT. I'll give you the paper. None of these are my copyrights, so don't worry. Right? These are all available in the content one.
Money order?
Is it visible and audible, ma'am? Shreshi ji?
Yes, yes, we can see it's audible.
And here also, though voice is low here, but
आज पहली बार पिताजी को मनी
Yeah,
ऑर्डर
we can hear.
अपने बचाए हुए पैसों से।
अब से हर व्हील पैक के साथ बचत कूपन पक्का।
यानी अब से हर व्हील पैक के साथ बचत पक्की।
व्हील हर स्मार्ट श्री।
this was the first file. Then content 3.
There's something so real in everyone. There's something so real. Ask anyone. It's you, it's real. And the feeling is right. There's something so real in the taste of life.
This was content 4.1. Is it visible and audible, ma'am?
Yes, we can see, sir.
Oh, okay.
Shanti, come and meet your husband. Say hello to Raju.
Oh yeah.
This was 4.1. This is 4.2, and then I'll explain that why I've shown it to you. Not just to take a voice rest, but I will explain why I've shown it to you.
जी क्या करतार सिंह के घर जाना है और ये सली कार और सली तो से राजा अच्छा जी करतार सिंह जी किस तरह उनकी बेटी को देखने और साथी पर जीत yeah must be a silly village girl silly yeah वो जी silly के कुछ भी स्मार्ट हो देखने में
And the last one.
मॉम डैड आपसे कुछ कहना है
बोलो।
मुझे लड़के में कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है मतलब
ये सब तुम्हारी वजह से हो रहा है।
मेरे कल स्कूल का आइडिया किसका था?
हाँ, पर बिल्डिंग के लड़कों से तो मिक्स होने देते हैं।
हेलो टेंथ सिंह मैं नहीं आ सकती आई कॉल यू लेटर
बेटा कौन था?
कोई नहीं डैड एमबीए क्लास का लड़का टेंथ सिंह गोवा जाने का प्लान बना रहा था नॉट इंटरेस्टेड
इंटरेस्ट लेना चाहिए को करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज
बट टेंथ सिंह
लड़का है अच्छा ही होगा।
जब लाइफ दिलाए झटके सोच जरा हटके वर्जन मोबाइल थिंक हटके
टेंथ सिंह गोवा
Now, if I ask you, what did you observe And it's not a rocket science. I have shown you a series of video clips, right? And I want to understand that what did you observe? Could you find out some commonality in these commercials? These commercials have been shown from a wide time period. They are some of them are as old as 90s and some of them are relatively recent 2003, 2004. So what did you observe as a researcher? Anybody would like to write in the chat box or would like to unmute and tell us what did you observe? What did you observe any pattern in this? Shresi, you would like to contribute? What did you observe? Because you are the one who is visible and audible also. So
So
what did you
they're
observe?
so these are advertisements, but they are all trying to portray a feeling or an emotion. They are not really talking about the product per se, but
Yes.
something. But the product that they're trying to sell, that actually is not part of the story that they're trying to say. It is a broader
Yeah, that is a
narrative that you will
critical.
remember.
Yeah. But then I got some responses in the chat box also. The theme of the advertisement, either boy is pursuing girl or vice versa, unique out of the box thought. That's right. Well, let me cut it short and come to the point now. This is the premise of my research project, which I'm going to share you. See, what you might not have paid attention, but one thing which was clear, yes, Seema Anil has given relatively a better, I mean, closer to what I thought. So what I have tried to show in these clippings were that how the portrayal of the women have changed over a period of time in the advertisement or in the Indian advertisement. In the first advertisement, they were being shown as no very saving conscious, concern about the family, sending money to the parents, right? That is the image which is being shown. I'm not saying that is a reality or not reality. I'm just talking about the portrayal of the image by the media. And the last commercial is more like no showing women as very smart, no, in a way trying to be fooling the parents and no getting things done. So how that portrayal of the women in the advertisement had changed over a period of time, or in other words, I want to understand that how stereotyping is being done of the women in the advertisement. Let's say that is what something which we want to understand. Now, that is what the research which we wish to do. So what kind of data I would collect? I would collect I would download the research paper related to this. That is number one. Number two, I would capture certain images or the commercials or the images where women have been portrayed. Number three, I would download certain video file. Number four, I would take some interview and PDF file. So all similar, I mean, all variety of data that you could capture, we would be analyzing in this software called N VIVO. So I'm sharing my screen now. And I would restrict myself to the main analysis of N VIVO only. I'll not be going the minutest detail of it. Right. So I go to this N VIVO software. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. So this is the interface of N VIVO software, right? And I go to import and I import file and look at this. Let's say I got all this file available with me, right? These are all possible file which could be there. So I'm just putting shift and downward key. And then I say open and I'm importing this file. So whatever data file I have in terms of their Excel responses, in terms of the PDF document of the literature, in terms of, no, let's say, uh, Excel sheet or a image file or a video file, whatever is the possible data file, I am trying to not incorporate it here. Okay, can you see these all file have come now here? Now, let's say this is my PDF file. Okay. So when I click this PDF file, let me see what kind of file is this. So when I click a PDF file, this is an PDF file, and where I have downloaded the paper like International Journal of Advertising. There is a paper which has been published, Caring for Her, the influence of presumed influence on female consumers' attitude towards advertising featuring gender stereotype portrayals. Right? So this is PDF file. This is your image file. Let's say this is an image. So this is an Fair Lovely image, right? Or advertisement by the Fair and Lovely company. Or let's say there is another image advertisement, right? So there are certain no interview data. So this is my what we call text data. There are certain video files also, like this is my video file, right? This is Uma Mangal's interview, right? And let's say I played. So we got all the kind of files available with me. Are you able to follow? क्योंकि यार online में यही बड़ा चक्कर है. I won't be able to understand, right? So the biggest challenge is the body language. So I don't know whether you guys are following what I'm saying, yeah, or I'm explaining to myself that what all I know in the N VIVO. Any comment, any suggestion? At least say yes or no. Okay. So at least one participant is very active, Muhammad Imran. So he said yes, sir. Okay. Oh, I'm assuming that others are also following. Yes. So Chandana has also said, good enough. Now I got it that you are following. Yeah. That means you guys are awakened. Okay. Good. Now I'm convinced. Thank you. All right. So going back to the N VIVO, I click to any of the file. Let's say I go to this file, which is PDF file. I go and click explore. Then I say word frequency. And I want to understand in this particular document, which word has been used how many times, right? Somebody said that how we can do an SLR. So that is how you can do SLR. Which word has occurred how many times in a particular research paper you want to understand. Then you say run query. So the software says it has got certain words. These are the top 1,000 most frequent words. It says advertising word has got a length of 11th letter, ADVERTISING, right? Has got 989 times it has occurred in this particular document, which is 1.98% of the entire this thing, right? So you won't want 1,000 word. Let's say you want 100 words only. So you just trim down to 100 and you say run query. So those top 100 words have come here. Now you realize that there are certain words which are redundant, sir. I don't want them. For example, there is a word called general, right? So or also. So you said why also? I also is not required, right? So you go to add to stopword list, right click, add to stopword list. You say okay, and this word would be when I run query, the also would go now. Route in the coming result, the also would not come. Then just a minute. I'll take it 4 o'clock or maybe 3:45. You can wait, or you want to sit, you can sit also. Right. So that is the one word. I want to, let's say, remove the word is, and there is a redundant word. Let's say this one I don't want. So I just right click, add to stopword list. Okay. And it would be removed. And I said run query, and this would go. You don't want 1,000 word. Let's say you want only 120 to top 20 word. So you simply write top 20 most frequent word. Then you say run query. Then you got those data available to you that, okay, these are the top word. And not only you can do this tabular point of arrangement, you can beautiful present in the word cloud also. So I'm presenting in the form of a word cloud, right? So those word cloud would be presented here. Right? And let's say if you want to present in this form, so you can present the word cloud like this. Okay. So you presented the data in the your word cloud. So that can be done. Right. Now you said, sir, even here also I want certain word to be removed. I don't want a study to be here. So I simply right click on the study. Go to study, right? Right. And here also you can add to the now let's say you are interested in, for example, there is a stereotype and there is a stereotype. You want to merge these two. So you get to with the stem words. Just from this icon, I am clubbing these two, and then I say run query. So all stem word would be clubbed together. Now you look at this. No, your stereotyping and stereotype had been clubbed now. Right? So this you can do. Similarly, you can club synonyms. You can go for specialization. For example, talking is a specific term. Whispering is a specialized word. So that you can do. You can go for generalization. So those kind of what we call word cloud can be generated. Now you must be wondering where I will be using, right? So let me give you some of the application of this. For example, let me first explain the general application and then I'll explain the research application. General application is, let's say I am following the speeches of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, or if I am following the speeches of Rahul Gandhi, and then I download the speeches of Rahul Gandhi or Narendra Modi in 2014, 2019, and 2023, right? And then I do a word cloud, and then I can make it out that when he was delivering speeches in 2014, what was the word which we was using most frequently? In 2019, what was the word which he was using most frequently? And in 2023, what was the word which has been used most frequently? Right. So that you can do when it comes to doing a word cloud analysis. Right. Similarly, for example, if there is any policy which has been generated by the government of India and you want to understand how many terms the term architecture has been used, or how many times the sustainable practices word has been used in this document. Or for example, the budget has come. How many times the word architecture has been used in the budget document, or how many times the term poor has been used, or in the AICT's document, vision document, how many times the word engineering or AICT has used the term architecture in their document. So the number of time, the premise here is that the number of time if the word is being used, that means the focus of the particular speech or the text is that people are talking about it, right? Isn't it? So that is a very powerful tool. Now you must be wondering that where we can use, for example, somebody was saying that SLR. So let's say I select methodology of all the research paper, 32 paper or 35 paper, whatever I have. I select all those methodology of those 35 paper and I run an analysis of using word cloud. And then I come to know that, okay, this is the technique which has been used by them very frequently by the researcher. How many times the Microsoft project or a crystal ball has been used for the no architectural project. So what tool has been used most frequently, which technique has been used most frequently, which term has been used most frequently, that can be done using the word cloud. So that is the one application which you can do in, and you can also justify in your research work that why you use the particular technique, because the past researchers have extensively used that particular technique. That is the one thing you can do. Similarly, what you can do is, for example, this is my text data, right? Now, these are the answers of some of the question which I asked. Now I go to this particular respondent. I simply say autocode, and I want to identify what are the themes which are there in this particular interview. So I go to next, right? So these are the 4 themes which has been generated by this software: gender, women, representation, and norms, right? How many times, for example, traditional gender role, gender norms, empowering roles, women has been identified as a theme. So theme means the related piece of text where it is being repeating again and again. So I just generate the theme and then I say finish. So a thematic analysis of the text data can be generated using this particular software, right? So no, a theme would be generated, right? So thematic analysis would be performed here. All right. And then you can do a sentiment analysis. Then you can do a, I'm just telling you the 10% of what all can be done. Let me just list it down, what all can be done. It can be done. You can do a sentiment analysis. For example, how many words are positive, negative, neutral, that you can work it out in the entire manuscript. You can analyze the images data. You can analyze the video data. You can even capture the social media data. So even that can be done as far as this particular software is concerned. I think there's something wrong with this. It's taking little unusual high time. Maybe there are multiple applications which are being open up. Let me close all the folders. Yeah. So this is the thematic analysis. The gender has been come out to be one theme. Similarly, women is another theme. Norms is another theme. Representation is another theme. So you can quote the various data is when it is being used, when you are dealing with the text data. For example, if you are following an architecture policy issued by a state government or government of India or startup policy, and you want to identify on what major theme they have divided the architecture policy that you can do. So if you want to do a critical assessment of architecture policy or any government document or any vision document or any document or in the form of text, you can do it. Similarly, you can generate the sentiment of this particular data. For example, if I go to any of the interview, then I go to autocode, then I want to identify the sentiment of the data. How many sentences are positive, negative? Even without reading the text, we can generate positive, negative, and neutral sentiment of the data, right? So, for example, in this interview, I can say that, okay, there is hardly any negative statement in this particular document. There are two statements which are moderately negative. There is a one statement which is moderately positive, and there is a, just a minute, right? So that sentiment analysis could be done as far as this particular software is concerned, right? So for example, mostly positive statement. Let's say if I go to this document and I go to chart, then mostly moderate negative document, moderately negative statement has been used, moderately positive and one positive and one negative statement has been used. So that you can identify. For example, you launch certain design and you want to see the reviews of the people, whether, for example, you have come up with a new architectural design and you posted on your social media or you posted on any website, and you want to identify the sentiment of the people who have given feedback on this. That can be done using this sentiment analysis. For example, movies review, no customer review, no people's no that way reviews. But all those things can be done as far as this particular software is concerned. And the last thing which is there is, let's say, we can also analyze the image data. So let's say this is an image and I want to edit it. So I can simply write, and I can simply edit it by saying that in the content, I want to edit, and let's say we change the word, right, based on whatever you have seen in the image, any interpretation. For example, this is something which could be very useful to you, because let's say if you have seen 100 such design of certain uh, establishment, and you want to write your interpretation of this, or experts want to write an interpretation, and once you have this data available with you, you can perform word cloud, you can do sentiment analysis, you can do word cloud, thematic analysis and all those things. So you can do all these analysis using N VIVO. Since we are running short of time, because it's already I've exceeded 15 minutes and I have also one more meeting which is lined up. And since it's been monotonous also in the sense that it has been one way. So also, had it been hands-on, then probably have a query and you can always have an interaction. So what I can say is, I don't know how justice I have done to the N VIVO because it's so many things to tell. But what I want to say is there's a use application as far as this tool is concerned, especially this image analytics and the audio video analytics, which is very, very useful in your case. And obviously the text data also. So my suggestion to you is, if you feel motivated after watching this particular hands-on, or after watching this particular demonstration, my suggestion to you would be, first read about qualitative research. There are good books. For example, I have got this book available with me. This is by this is very interesting. It's a Sage publication, and no, this has been authored by Jerry Wills, right? And she has written a very good book on the qualitative research. So if you are interested in qualitative research, you can, or there is a book by Linda Smith on decolonizing researches. I'll just write Linda Smith. She has written on decolonizing researches. Right. research minds, right? Something like that. So that's very powerful qualitative research. So N VIVO is primarily a tool which is being used for content analysis, thematic analysis, sentiment analysis, and text mining, right? So you can also make use of them. So idea here is obviously not to make you champion on the software. Idea here is to give you, our job was to just when you go to a cafeteria and that there is a menu, which says, okay, these are all dishes which are available. Now it up to you that, okay, which dish you want to proceed with. So similarly, I think this research colloquiums or this dialogue series, the main intention is to give you an idea that what all is available, and then based on what is available, you are to pick up one. So I think it's high time I should close now. So thank you so very much for being a very good listener, and I'm also very particularly impressed by the organizer, both the coordinator and the director, because generally what happens is an online, on a lighter note I'm telling, in an online lecture, generally they invite expert and then they themselves switch off the video and audio and then they just pitch in when it is required. So I must appreciate, despite being such a senior faculty member in the institution, and they have a luxury. They could have easily put down, no, switch off the camera and put off the video and audio, and then they would have, enjoy the other things. But they choose to be part of this. That shows the seriousness. So that's really, really very, very impressive. So because generally our impression is online is that you are just doing it for the sake of doing it, but it seems that you guys are very, very serious about it, and I'm very happy to learn about the vision of this particular dialogue. So that's really interesting, and I'm sure these two software which I exclusively talked about, POSViewer and N VIVO, must have sparked some sort of interest in your mind. Don't worry about the reading material. I'll be sharing all the PPTs and whatsoever is I demonstrated, I'll do it. And you are free to write an email also in case if you are doing any research, and if you are students at gmail.com. I'll just give my email ID. In case if you doing any bibliometric analysis or any qualitative research, and you can always come to me saying that this is our query. And obviously you can, I may not be very prompt in answering the query, but as and when I'll get a time, and I always make it a point, because we also tend to learn by addressing the various queries. So whenever people from diverse background ask question, even it is very enlightening for us also, right? So that's why we also look forward. So thank you so very much, and I'm sorry that I have to abruptly close. There were so many things to tell in the N VIVO, but then I had more assignment and the students are waiting outside. So in the interest of that.
But thank you, sir. It was it was an exhaustive presentation, sir. But of course, in N VIVO, we know the scope is too much, as we had already mentioned in the beginning. But it was very gracious of you, sir, to
your
give
voice
us,
is, I mean, hardly audible.
Is it? All right. Thank you, sir. That's the main crux of what I'm trying to say. But thank you for sharing your details as well. So our audience, some of them, because since they've just got a lot of data to process, so I think the questions also, it will take some time for them to frame, so they can always approach you. It was very nice of you to give us your details, sir. Yeah. Ma'am?
Yeah, sir, I don't have any words to say. In fact, I thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. And, the COVID has taught us this lesson, sir. Whenever there is a possibility, we can go for online mode also. So otherwise, these things were never ever possible, even for as an institution, most of the time, everybody to call offline and then, working with the things, because now calling resource person is sometimes very easy, sir. Calling the participants, because I could see 40 people and they were all 40 were there actually, except we three. But that is a good part of it. Like, they have thoroughly enjoyed. Otherwise, 40 people calling them here, BMS School of Architecture, was a bit difficult for us. Yeah, sir. Another challenge is, nowadays most of them are now enrolling even in architecture. They're enrolling for PhD and all that. But another challenge for them is, like, they're all full time. They don't do the full time, PhD registration. So most of them are the part time. So I think these kind of sessions are really, really helpful, sir. In fact, I remember I finished my PhD in IIT Roorkee as a full-time scholar in 11 to 15. But still, I think I haven't used these softwares. I should have used, and so that we can nicely write even review papers. Sir, I could see that using this bibliographic analysis, I think review papers will be much easier, and then that will be really helpful, because always we are scared to write a review papers. So I think using these tools, I'm sure, I think all the participants, I just request you to, today only you try these softwares. Otherwise, tomorrow it should not be the thing, because my guide always used to tell, whatever you discuss that day, immediately, after going to your hostel, you should try, so that you will remember those facts. Otherwise, we forget the things. So I request all the participants to explore whatever the sir has mentioned. And I'm sure they will enjoy the
Shanu has done it, and she has presented also. Looks good, great. So they are promising. In fact, though we are, generally courtesy demands one should not say anything after Thanksgiving. But then what I'm saying is, this is one thing, that bibliometric thing is very useful for writing the literature review chapter in their thesis also, because the majority of the time, there is an issue of plagiarism in the literature review. But when they are doing a bibliometric analysis, there is no issue of bibliometric, no plagiarism, because if I'm doing it now, and if I'm doing it after 50 minutes or 1 hour, my result would be entirely different. Sure. So this could be a very good for those PhD students, who are always worried about how to write a non-plagiarized content. All right. So thank you so very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was really, really nice interaction. I also enjoyed thoroughly. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Nice.
So I'm leaving now.